Every day I think about this and I talk to my therapist and everything. It's a whole process in my life. So I'm excited to learn new things today.
Aw, I'm excited to talk about this stuff because I feel like a lot of people have trouble with it, and it comes from so many other places that it's not just like about, oh, I don't know how to create posts or stuff like that. It's a lot about the confidence too, and the idea that, oh, people are going to judge me. So there's so much into having a social media presence that we do need to take it to therapy. We honestly do. Good night, Paula. Hello, love. Oh, she's getting her
Good
phone.
night, Leah. Good night, everybody.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'll be opening my
Ah,
camera soon. So I'm just
okay.
organizing stuff here. Good
Okay,
night.
don't worry.
I'm
Take
super
your time.
excited for this class. I'm super excited for this meeting, right? I'm really excited to talk about social media.
Ooh, and I'm excited to talk about social media with you too because you're like killing your social media game lately. So like, oh my God, yeah. So I want to talk to all of you about this. So let's get into it, right? I think 38, that's about time, right? But whoever comes along will undoubtedly like have space and find themselves, right? But I think it's a dense topic, so I don't want to waste any time, right? So, social media, people. Social media is a whole thing because maybe in other times we relied only on word of mouth, but then that's a really slow process, right? And we can't really have much control over it. We can't really control that there's a constant flow of people coming in. And that's something that's truly important if we want to consistently teach online because turnover is so normal and it's so real, and students come and go all the time. So, we do need to have something in place so that when students go, we don't feel nervous. And I used to feel very upset whenever a student stopped having classes with me, but now I feel very relieved because and also excited because I know I'll have, that time free to take on a new challenge, a new student or a new teacher, a new mom in my other work. So it's like really exciting for me to have these possibilities to start fresh. And I think that's something that's only possible because now I have that flow coming in. Before, I know that anytime someone left me, I was very like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to pay my bills and all that. And we don't have control over external circumstances, right? So we gotta have a social media presence ultimately if we want to consistently have our own thing. Of course, there are many people that have students from other teachers or other online schools or companies that outsource teachers. But then we know at the end of the day that that's not ours. That's not something that we're truly being valued in because normally they don't pay us well, and like we're being pimped out essentially, right? I've had a pimp. That was something normal for me in the past. But today, I have so much freedom to teach the type of people that I like and not just anyone that comes my way. And that was something that also made a big difference because in the beginning, you teach whoever you can get. And then now I'm going towards a place where if I don't like that student, I'm not going to teach them because, it's not going to be worth my time. But another privilege of having people constantly coming in. So it all comes down to knowing how to sell ourselves, how to market ourselves, which is very polemic. We're amongst women here, right? So we know as women that that's something also that's problematic because we're not taught to be autonomous. We're not taught to sell ourselves in a way that generates authority. Normally, when, in the past, when women were advertised, it was about sensuality, it was about their looks. And then we're learning how to market ourselves in a way that's based on our competence or our love for what we do. So it's a challenge, right? We have imposter syndrome more than men. There's a whole thing. So there's so many factors that maybe hinder us when we're going on social media. So I want to learn from you guys. I want to know what's going on in your social media journey and your challenges, the things that you feel when you're dealing with this stuff. So please feel free to raise your little hands and tell me, or else I'm gonna start calling names. Yes, Louisa, please.
Well, I guess I'm in the opposite. of how can I say, I'm trying to work with social media without showing my face, and it's kind of getting better. I mean, I nowadays I work with academic reviews. I revise. I don't know how to say it. I revise papers and stuff, and I post online. I used to use Instagram, but actually I wasn't comfortable talking about my work. I used to like to talk about other things in my Instagram. So now I've been using Facebook a lot. I use Facebook groups and also Twitter. Facebook groups of university guys. They are. It's a very great space to post about your jobs, and there's always English teachers posting as well. And I've been working like this. I mean, every day I enter Facebook and I choose some universities and I post about my job, and people email me, people send me like WhatsApp, and I work for them without, they don't see my face, I don't see their face, and I'm like, I'm I'm kind of liking it, and I thought I tried a lot of Instagram, and I'm kind of doing uh, I gave me a time, so I'm trying. I still have to work. I still have to show people what I do, and I have to sell myself. But I wasn't kind of comfortable uh, talking about this on Instagram, and it's about a month I gave up, and it's getting better. I know. I mean, I found I figured out if I didn't want to show myself up, I didn't need to. There's still jobs coming in, and people that like what I do, they tell other people, and that's like boca a boca. It's starting to work for me, and at BPSA, it's all there's always work coming in, and so I can, like, last week I could give up a job, and I had to pass to my friend because I couldn't get it, and it's been a while since that happened. I had to always to pick things up, and I had always to work whatever it was. So I don't know. I feel that I'm here in because I'm curious to hear to other girls, because I think I've been like in the opposite side now. I don't know.
Oh, I love that. I love that you found your way of doing things, because ultimately we don't have to force ourselves to do anything that makes us completely uncomfortable unless we want to challenge ourselves, right? Challenges are uncomfortable in the beginning, but we can challenge ourselves in other ways that don't require exposing ourselves if that's not something where we want to really overcome. Like if we are uncomfortable on social media with showing ourselves and marketing ourselves, but we want to be comfortable, that is a whole other journey. But if that's not something you aspire to do, you should absolutely find other ways to do that. And yes, Facebook is still there, pretty much alive and pumping, right? So it's a great idea to do that, honestly. It's really
Yeah, and,
good.
and all I have to do, it's like Control F, Control V, Control F, my text. I put like I created a flyer, a banner, and I post it there, and people just email me. I don't have to even talk to them, and as is not, sometimes I have to do some mentorship. People ask me to help them to create the project, the academic projects and stuff, and that's the only times. Yeah, that's how I see people, but usually I just read the work, and it's great. I'm applying to some jobs to do translation, and let's see. I'm liking it.
Oh, that's nice. I I felt so bored when I was doing translation work and review work. But like if you love that, please like do it, because people need people that can do that and do it well. So yes, 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 yes. And these days I was on my Canva and I was scrolling down to see my past projects, and I saw the banners that I created to share my work on Facebook too. Like right in the beginning, like 3 years ago maybe, I was sharing my job, like my work on Facebook groups, and it was so nostalgic to see that. Like, oh my God, I started here, right? And the colors were all different. The design was very elementary, and then it was so nice to see that progress too. But oh my God, that's nostalgic. Though I did feel very exhausted of having to post on Facebook groups every day and to actually look for the people. The good thing about teaching students is that you have reoccurring payments. So the student doesn't pay me once for a job. You have a constant flow and they're always paying. And, if they stop having classes, then okay. But, I felt like I was constantly having to go out fishing if I was working, like, freelance like that. And I wanted to ask you something, Lou, since you said in your social media, well, you didn't want to show your face, but I think your social media presence in Portuguese is fabulous. Like, you document everything in your day, you make these cute lapses. So my big question is, why isn't that just not in English? What would be the big difference of doing that and just putting it in English instead of saying it in Portuguese, or putting just subtitles in Portuguese?
I got bored of this. I wasn't doing this kind of stuff because I wanted it, but because I thought that would make my Instagram grow up. And that's what I realized. I put that stuff there because I wanted to share things, but I didn't know exactly what. And I focused more on how. And I knew that time lapses and stuff's work, and that's why I gave me a time, because I realized I wasn't doing things because I actually wanted, but because I knew that would work for social medias.
Interesting. That is interesting. So you were just going with what people were telling you had to do, and then you suddenly decided to listen to yourself. Oh, I love that. I love that, because that's what we need to do ultimately when we're dealing with social media, when we're dealing with working online. We need to stop listening to all the gurus and all the things that say what we should and shouldn't do. And we need to start embracing what feels good for our routine, what is sustainable for us, right? So now I could say that I love doing my social media thing. But if it's something that takes away your joy, if it's something that is, sucking your energy away, then, like, reassess, because there's probably other ways to do things, right? That don't involve showing your
And
face.
another thing is that I realized that I use three social media: Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. To Instagram, it was the one that gave me less job. Less I closed the less works by Instagram, so I choose to focus on Twitter and Facebook because I was earning more money there.
Yes, especially because your public, the academic people, they are either on Facebook or on Twitter. That is the reality. Like, the people that are doing extensive university work, they normally don't have time for Instagram, right? And Twitter is something it's easy to consume. It's You just come and go. And Facebook, there's an intention because you go in the groups and you do something specific. There's a community there. So absolutely, we need to go where our ideal public is. And that's another great lesson we need to have in mind, because suppose I want to attract professionals. TikTok is not the place maybe to attract serious professionals, because they don't have time. None of my top paying students have a TikTok. And that's something that's funny. But then when we go to the group settings, then a lot of people in the group settings have TikTok. So you see, it's like the people that pay less are on TikTok, TikTok. And the people that pay more are on social media. That is different. Some people even like having a presence on LinkedIn. I've seen teachers that they focus exclusively on LinkedIn. Personally, I wouldn't go that professional, because I don't like people that are that professional. People that like navigating LinkedIn, they're normally very professional. So, like, I try not to, but it's a thing, it's a vibe. So ultimately, you need to think about who you want to teach, who you want to attract, and then you got to go in their direction. You got to see what attracts them. Right? There's no way for people to trust you if you don't show who you are. And when you show who you are, it's like a natural firewall that blocks out the people that don't have anything to do with your branding message and that attract the people that identify with what you're putting out. So that's it, right? And then we also can't be something that we're not to attract people. Like Louisa is an academic person. She loves that stuff. She loves that environment. So that's her people. She's not trying to attract people that are totally inappropriate with her existence, right? That are not aligned with her interests. So that's something we need to have in mind. If we're not going to take everything that comes our way, we need to start filtering that shit, right? Thank you for sharing, Lou. How about you, Amanda? What do you have to say, love?
Actually, it's not a question, but it's like observation, and I need to ask something. I remember Paula saying that she was feeling very shy to share, and this was a challenge for her. And I related to her at the time, and I totally related with Louisa now because I don't feel comfortable showing my face. But I know that my public, maybe I need to show my face because I intend to work with kids, and parents need to see my face to, I don't know, trust and bond with me. And but this is something that I'm trying to work on therapy, trying to, I don't know, maybe uh, I don't know, maybe make like bust uh my shyness to go do that, try at least. But maybe work like Louisa, find some a path that I can do it without showing my face. But and everything that you say, that when Paula said that she was feeling, she was not 100% confident. I asked her Instagram and I start following her. And since that, I noticed how she was like influencer, a teacher influencer. I love her earphones, Paula, and I feel very inspired because she was feeling shy. I related with her feeling, and she's doing that. I'm not in that stage right now, but looking through her posts, I'm kind of, maybe I can do that too. So what I was going to ask, like, can you share Instagram? Like, I'm not posting about my profession in my Instagram. I just want to follow you to inspire myself because following Paula was nice for me. Like, empowered me to maybe one day I can reach this level. And that's it. Maybe if you can share your Instagram or your professional Instagram on our WhatsApp group, I really want to see you blossom in your account. That's it.
Uh, that is beautiful, honestly. Like, and I agree with you 100%. Like, Paula is so fucking professional in her videos. I'm like, oh my God, she could target ad this. Is she trying to sell a course or something? Like, is she on Hotmart? Is this Mayra Vergara we're talking to here? It was awesome, seriously. And that shows that you don't need to be confident to make content on social media, people. You don't need to be confident to show your face ultimately. You just got to be thirsty. I always say that. You just got to be hungry. You just want to get paid. That's all you need to really start showing your face or start moving in the direction of something that really works for you. So you said you want to attract parents that would pay classes for their kids. Groups like Feira do Rolo Moema, Feira do Rolo Morumbi, Feira do Rolo blah blah blah. All
I'm
those
sorry,
Feira
Dia,
do.
but you froze. You're freezing for me. I
Can you
couldn't
hear
listen.
me?
Now
Can
I
you hear
can.
me? Can
Yes.
people hear me? Okay. Well, Feira do Rolo groups, all the Feira do Rolo groups, and then there's the Feira do Rolo and a name of the neighborhood. And then you go into that and you have parents. You can look for like Mães de Moema. There's a group called Mães de Moema, Mães do Morumbi, Mães não sei o quê. So go for the mom groups on Facebook and send your shit in all of them. And then the good thing though, if you're trying to attract people, not just to have freelance work, but to actually hire you as a teacher, then I do think it's important for you to have at least something on your social media or some kind of portfolio. Because I feel like that's how our Instagram profile sometimes acts. Even if we're not feeding it regularly, even if we're not trying to really like attract people through Instagram, it's nice when someone in the word of mouth recommends you and then they send your Instagram to that person and then they're like, okay, she's this is the girl I recommend. And there on your Instagram, it's very clear what you do, how you do, and who you do it for. Right? I think that's something important because then you have ultimately a magazine, a vitrine, a window that shows who you are. And that's something that happens a lot right now with me. So I guess that if you're trying to attract students, which require trust, like kids, nobody's going to just put a random person. Like, imagine you see an ad on a newspaper. You're not going to just hire that person to spend alone time with your kid. It's kind of it's kind of strange. So I do think a social media presence in your case specifically is great, but don't think you have to wait for you to be confident. Like start doing whatever and ease into it, but think about how nobody gives a shit if you make a mistake. Nobody really cares about you as much as you do. Nobody cares about me as much as I do. So, it's
Yes, I
just
am working on a portfolio. Like I got a template on what's the name of the place? Notion, and it's a goal to like fill up the gaps and make a portfolio because uh I have some work. I have some projects to share that might be interesting to use as a portfolio, but it's taking too much time because I think that maybe my mind isn't there already, but I am working on that because I know that it's important. Like I don't have kids, but I can see parents very worried about who is with their kids, and I totally understand. So at some point and at some level, I need to show my face. I don't know how yet, but I want to get inspired.
absolutely, absolutely. And being inspired by other teachers is a great way to go about it. Even if you see other random teachers online and you look at that content and you feel like, I wouldn't ever do that because that wouldn't make me comfortable, or that sounds ridiculous to me, or whoa, that is awesome. I totally would do that. So do consume people from your niche, do look for hashtags that your people would look for and see what's out there because ultimately, like, you can get inspired. But take it easy, do something that requires a little bit of stuff. Like Louisa's time lapse videos are a really good way to do something if you're feeling kind of insecure. Like record yourself doing something random, record yourself teaching a class, put it in a time lapse, and then put some words on the screen. Just like there are many possibilities today that are not like, come here, turn on the camera, and start talking to the camera. There are
I want
many
to
of
follow Louisa. You're talking too much about her Instagram. I want to follow her.
ways. Because all of you guys have something very unique and awesome about your Instagram. So it's hard not to cite you guys. But thank you for sharing, Amanda. Yes, Paulina.
Amanda, you don't know how happy I feel to hear that I inspire you. I never thought I would inspire anyone. But well, when I started to share a bit of a content in English, I was actually in need of money. So I needed to show people that I was teaching, that I could teach, that they could study English with me, just because of necessity, really. So I live by myself on my own for almost almost 6 years now. So since then, I needed to create situations and just, I don't know, really create situations to make money because I couldn't find a job because of my university. I couldn't have a job really because I had classes in the morning, sometimes at night, sometimes in the afternoon. So I had no way to work in a place and have a schedule because I couldn't schedule my classes really. So I needed to find jobs. So then when I realized I could be teaching English, I just started to show up a little bit sometimes. And uh, I know that we might be different because I'm not shy really. I'm kind of an extrovert person, so it's easier. I know it is easy. It is easier to show up and talk, but I wasn't confident really. Actually, until now, I'm not confident about the videos I record, the stuff I try to talk. Sometimes I record a whole video, very comfortable, and then when I need to edit it and
put the subtitles, I check, oh, there's a mistake. Oh my God, I said that. I don't like to say this. I said, so because of that, I'm always worried about posting the stuff I record. And but just start, as Bia said, recording a time lapse of you teaching your, I don't know, doing something with the kids, an activity. It's something so you can start slowly, and then if you want to really show up and talk, just do it in your time. So uh but I have a lot of questions about this topic because I didn't know when I decided to start creating content about English, about me as a teacher. I didn't know if I should create another account to, well, I thought, oh, I could create another account. I could start to share the reels, just tagging the other account because now I have these followers, friends, and friends of friends, and whatever. And then if I start to do that profile, a real professional profile, that would be more professional. But I don't really have time to handle one account, let alone two. So I decided to keep on the one I have now. But I still struggle. I'm still struggling with this because I'm not very artistic. I'm not the design person who can create a lot of beautiful stuff to post. So I just record the videos and I post. But I know that my profile isn't really selling me 100% because it doesn't really look like a professional profile. So I feel like I should hire someone to do this, but I don't know if I could pay now or if I should pay now, or I don't know. I'm still with a lot of questions about it. And but yeah, since I started this group here, I really felt like empowered to start doing what I'm doing now. So I'm always gonna thank you, V, and everybody who motivated.
Wow. Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here. Your presence is very enriching. But you know what? I need to go back and unpack the things that you said and answer your questions. And first, like going backwards, right? About having another account versus having like a just one account or a personal or professional account. We often feel like we need to be super duper professional in everything because that's what's out there, right? That's what everyone is doing. Like they're making reels and they're writing carousels and they have beautifully designed posts, and that's what's out there and that's the expectation that's established. But ultimately, there's not just one way to do things, right? I learned my lesson when I noticed that like the people that followed me in my professional account because I had three accounts at a certain point. Look at this madness. A mother having three fucking accounts. So it was just like my personal account, Bear Goal. And then it was the Empowered English Network account. And then it was Empowered Teachers, right? And I knew that I couldn't speak to teachers in my Bear Golo account because my public is very diverse. Like there's moms, there's people from all sorts of movements that I'm involved in, and music people and whatever. But those people, they could be my English students, right? So these two people were the same. They followed me in the same accounts, like they followed me in both accounts. And then I was like, okay, I'm losing my time here, right? Because yes, I want to talk to teachers and I want to talk to English students. That's my priority, that's my focus. I'm not trying to sell anything else besides those two things, right? So I said, why not unify this shit? Because I noticed that in my personal account, whenever I posted a picture, I don't know, breastfeeding or whatever, people would start messaging me about having classes with me. And it wasn't even in English. It was stuff in Portuguese, people. But in my stories, I was always speaking in English. In my stories, I talked about different stuff in English. And I stopped talking about English. I stopped talking about language. I stopped talking about like grammar tips, and but I talked about real life stuff in English, like my maternity stuff, motherhood stuff, and politics and the stuff I'm interested in, the type of things my public is interested in. And then I was talking about maybe how I worked at the end, or I gave a little hint of something, posted screenshots of me in classes or whatever. And virtually in my timeline, there was nothing in English. Just me being personal and posting my personal stuff. And it sold people because every time I post a picture of myself or my baby, people are reminded that I exist. And in their brains, it's so embedded that Bea Golo is an English teacher. What is Bea? She's a teacher. What does Bea do? She teaches English. She's always speaking English in her stories. So I know Bea's English. English is Bea. Someone that knows me, when they think of English, pa, Bea. When they think of Bea, pa, English. Because that's how I constructed my image ultimately, you know? So I think that's so valuable because I don't need to limit myself to posting things just about how I work. You know, Amanda wants to attract kids. She could just be posting pictures of work she's done with kids and talking about how that journey felt for her. You know, how that journey was, the things she's learned. We could be posting screenshots with our students in classes and talk about their journey. We could be posting feedback. We could be posting things we did, things we'd like to do, experiences we've had abroad or whatever, or experiences we had learning English, or we could be talking about anything at all. And it doesn't need to be just tips and grammar. And that's something that's so like, ugh, everyone does it. Everyone's teaching tree in English, car in English, vocabulary in the supermarket. Ah, for the love of fucking Jesus Christ. People that really want to learn English, or people that already speak English, which is kind of sometimes our goal, like people that are already like their wheels are turning, they don't consume content about English normally. They consume content in English because they're in the immersion moments of their journey already, you know? So, of course, depending if you want to get more basic students, you could be talking more about English. But, you know, you don't have to limit yourself to posting about just one thing. And that doesn't mean you need to be artistic and creative either. Because I don't think I'm a very artistic person either. But that's why I outsource. I have my designer, I pay him 250 reais per month. He does 5 posts a week for me. You know, I just write down my shit on Trello. He makes it into a beautiful design. I make observations. And then I have like right now I have like 15 posts that I have ready that I don't have the subtitle, the caption for yet, and that's why they're not posted. But like that I can choose from. When I feel the vibe, I go in my Trello, I choose a post like today, I write the caption, and bada bing, bada boom. Because I did not have time or the willing to learn how to design on Canva, and that's okay. Like outsourcing is beautiful. We shouldn't feel bad about it. So I totally recommend outsourcing things whenever you can. Like if it's a possibility, do it. Because I hate Canva. Yes, I have no creativity. I'll spend like 4 hours to design one post, and that is not efficient. Then that's even then your time is worth even less. It's like you start getting frustrated. Then you feel even worse about being on social media. But I have teachers in my mentorships that love Canva. They love spending time there and creating the beautiful posts, and then more power to them. If they're that people, then be that person. But I'm not, and I think that, you know, if you're not, accept it and move forward with your life. But, you know, it's all about also adjusting our expectations. Like Paula said, she was like, "Oh my God, I don't like to say this. I used a word that's bada bing, bada boom." Nobody knows. Nobody gives a shit because nobody knew the expectations that were in your head for yourself, ultimately, right? And I need to remind myself of that all the time. Like sometimes I see a video I posted and I could have said that, right? Like, oh my God, nah, nah. But then nobody knows I could have said that because I never said it. You know, people can't expect from me what I didn't promise. You know, so it's all about also allowing yourself to be yourself and to talk about what you love talking about, because then social media doesn't suck people. If you're forcing yourself to talk about stuff that you don't care, like I don't care about English grammar, like ultimately, like I do love grammar, I do love knowing about it and researching the past and the history, blah blah blah. But ultimately, I hate talking about it on social media to attract students because that's not the vibe of student I like. I don't like those students that are going to be like all up in my grill about grammar. Like, I like the students that love to communicate, that love social topics, that love to discuss history and geography. And, you know, so that's the shit I'm going to talk about on my Instagram, you know? So, and like that inner critic that we have is so damn mean, and we need to learn how to just, you know, sometimes our inner critic is like, oh, you should have this, you should have that, why don't you do this, or oh my God, you're so ridiculous, or yeah, yeah, yeah. Just we have to choose sometimes not to listen to that voice. You know, sometimes we were bullied in our childhood, or we had these things that made us feel less than, but we're not that hurt little child anymore. And we can't give those people power nowadays. We can't give people power over our lives. Ultimately, if you like me, you like me. If you don't like me, there are other thousand teachers out there. And I want students that like me, that see me and identify with me, because they know who I am, because I'm showing who I am. If I don't show who I am, I can't expect them to like me for who I am. But if I do show myself and people like that, then awesome. Right? So be yourself, because being yourself is a natural firewall. And it doesn't matter if that's perfect or not, because it never will be perfect. But it doesn't matter if it's your ideal either. Because I'm not my ideal person yet. I think we're never our ideal person. We're always growing, right? We always think we could know more and all of that. And that's a part of our journey. But we need to accept who we are now and know that we need to get money now, right? Bit of the future I can't wait for Bear of the Future to do that shit. So thank you for sharing, Paula. Who
Thank
else
you.
wants to share? Karine, Rebecca, please.
Yes, and I love the idea of talking about the things you like in English, because it's actually exhausting when I see social media as an obligation. Because on a daily basis, I just want to survive. I just want to complete all my classes successfully and see my students and see their development and go like, okay, it's good, it's going well. This is what I want. I'm happy. But then if I see social media as an obligation, my routine is going to be exhausting, and I don't want to have this now. Can you hear me? Because all the cameras were off. Oh, okay. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. I can't hear you, Pia.
Oh, I
No,
was
I can't.
muted. But yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes, yes. So I love the idea when you say like just speak English and talk about the things you like. I don't know, I love traveling, so maybe I could talk more about traveling in English, not only talk grammar or say this instead of that. I hate these don't say I'm fine, because now my students think they cannot say I'm fine. And I have to explain like you can say I'm fine. There is no problem to say I'm fine, because everybody on the internet was like, don't say I'm fine. And I go like, that's okay to say I'm fine. People say I'm fine all the time. So I don't like this. Like, don't say this, say that. You cannot say this. Native speakers don't say, I hate this kind of content, really. Because this is not real. This is not real life. So I've been thinking about this idea of feed my social media with content I love. I saw people traveling, not a lot of people, actually, two people. Um, one of them, one of them was a teacher, but the other was not a teacher. They were traveling and recording themselves doing daily things like restaurants and everything, and it was like real conversations. You know, real conversations at a restaurant, at a drugstore, real conversations. You can show that. And this really caught my attention, and I was like, that's interesting. Because it was not in the US, it was not in England, it was, I think, in Spain or something like this, in Italy. So two non-native speakers speaking English, it was a real dialogue. I love it. That was real. That wasn't like, don't say this, don't say that. There, you could see mistakes, but the communication was real, you know. So maybe this is the kind of content that I can create about my life and I feel more comfortable with. Because when I think about Instagram as an obligation, that sucks. I can't, really. I can't really. When I people talk to me like, oh, you should have a TikTok, I go like, oh, please don't do that to me. Why? Why TikTok? please, no, I can't handle that. And first I need to figure out about Instagram, and then I can think about TikTok maybe one day in the future. I don't know. And I want to make it simple, easy and comfortable.
Yes, absolutely. Please don't go about shitting colonial rules. Like, oh my God. Jesus Christ. I get so frustrated with the type of content that some teachers make. It's like you're doing a disservice to people that are learning English. You're blocking them ultimately, right? So it's very ridiculous that some people have the courage to do what they do online. And then I think that's inspiration of what we shouldn't do, right? Content that makes our students feel bad about themselves or not enough or insecure. It's all about showing who you are and reaffirming your brand message, right? Like, what is your brand? Meaning, like, what do you want people to think about when they hear your name? And that's an exercise I try to do all the time. And I try to let my content like resonate that, right? So I want people to feel that I'm a warm person. So I have to like really monitor myself. So I'm speaking in a way that's nonviolent and in a way that, makes people feel embraced and not like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed of myself because, Bea said that this is horrible, And that's really hard. So we need to think about how do we want to be received by people and then post content that aligns with that, right? And we should be real, we should be ourselves because ultimately like I said, that's the way to guarantee that it's going to be sustainable. I hate routines and I'm a Sagittarius. Like, do not tell me what to do. And because I will not do it, I will rebel. So, from the moment that someone says you have to post every day, you have to do things like this, or that, I'm already out of the picture. You already lost me when you say I have to do something. We don't have to do anything. The only thing we need to take responsibility for is, doing things that make us feel good about ourselves at the end of the day, doing things that are sustainable because we're going to be doing it for a long ass time, like if we're going to be online teachers, normally we're going to have to continue this online presence in a way or another, not because it's our obligation, because like we have to, but in the sense of to keep that constant flow coming and going, right? And it's nice. It's nice ultimately, since I talk about things that I love talking about in both of my profiles, it's not a chore for me. It's really not a chore. It's something that like sometimes I'm smoking or I'm drinking something or I'm relaxing and then I have these ideas of things I want to share. Or a student tells me something during class and that inspires me to say something that I want to preach to other people because I think that will make a difference in the world. So I talk about things that I would preach about. It's my gospel and I spread it with love and with pleasure. It's not like, oh, I need to record stories. It's like, oh my God, I need to record stories because I want to talk about this. And that's the feeling we want to have. Like, I want to share. I want the world to see who I am, because people deserve to see who we are because we exist. I think that when we deprive the world of our true selves, we are invalidating the people who are like us, that are looking for people like us. Those people are out there. People like us exist because we exist. We're living proof that people like us exist. So we need to show ourselves. We need to show our true selves because if we're hiding that, then what are we saying to those people, right? Because often we wouldn't tell our students the same things we tell ourselves. If our students were to post videos speaking in English or posting content, we wouldn't say to them the things we tell ourselves when we're critiquing our own work. Right? Oh my God, like you're so ridiculous. Jesus Christ, you shouldn't have said that. We would never tell a student that. We would be like, I have a suggestion, or yeah, we would be kind about it. But then with ourselves, we don't have that same kindness. So when we are hard on ourselves, think about it as being hard on the other people that exist and are like you, because there are people like us that need teachers like us. How many people come up to me and say, oh, I was looking for a teacher trainer and I could only find, corporate, very white, very standard people talking in a certain way with their straight hair and whatnot and driving their fancy cars and being so professional. And then I saw you and I was like, okay, maybe I don't need to straighten my hair anymore. I swear to God, there's a teacher that straightened her hair because she felt like that was a way that she would look more, professional. And that's so sad, right? So you are representation. You represent the class of people that you belong to. So those people deserve to have quality education. Those people deserve to have a quality service, which you provide. So let them see you. Let them, know you exist because you are a thing. You're a whole thing. Kareen, how about you? You've been awfully quiet, girl. Tell us what's been going on in your social media. I love your post, by the way. This girl, she is on fucking fire. She's talking about some things, people. She is like, yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. I'm very shy and um I have a very low self-esteem. So being on social media is very hard for me. Even especially because even on my personal account, I don't really show up a lot. I don't have a consistency because I don't really like to post a lot. I am there. Sometimes I'm looking at everybody's things, but I don't post much. Also because of my Chinese and also because I'm not a big fan of that. So getting used to post a lot on my professional one is very hard, and especially having the courage to show myself. I've never posted a picture of mine except for the first post or a video. So today has been very inspiring. I believe it's still going to be very hard for me to post anything that shows my face or my voice. One of these days, I posted a reels that had my voice, and I had to to record that for like 300 times, so I wouldn't feel very conscious about it. I'm very conscious about myself, so it's hard to be on social media. So I'm very thankful for the compliment. Um, these days I haven't been posting a lot because sometimes I know what I should do, but it still is very hard for me to do that. So yeah, it's very challenging, but I will try to get better at that.
But I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of you for starting because, like, the things that you're talking about is like, oh, you don't need to speak like a native. Oh, decolonizing your speech. You're talking about stuff already, and you're not necessarily showing your face yet, but you're already talking about what you believe in, and that's what matters ultimately. Like, you don't need to. It's not a rule that you need to necessarily be there and talking and showing your face. You could absolutely do what you like to do and take it slow and ease into it, give yourself time to grow into it. But like, that is a challenge that's nice to surpass. When we start to challenge ourselves, like people, I post things and I run. It's like I post things and I run for the hills and I like throw my phone. I like posting things and then go jumping into classes because then I have to concentrate on the class and I can't check the post, and that's like because if I watch something too much, maybe I'll get self-conscious and I'm gonna delete it. So just like post it and run and like allow yourself to pagar mico. Allow yourself to, because there's this saying in English, embarrassment is the cost of entry. So I think everything you start, you're gonna pay that price, in the beginning. Today, when I see my old videos from my first Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, pobrecita, oh, por Dios. But then I'm like, okay, I think I'm getting better, so do it. And in that time, nobody knew I was like being weird. Nobody knew I was being pathetic. But to me, looking now, I was kind of pathetic. But now, you know, we're in a new moment. And does anyone remember when I was pathetic on Instagram? No, because nobody gives a shit about me. So I embrace my insignificance. I embrace the fact that I'm just one of the many billion people on Earth. And, from Mars, nobody can see me. So, like, people don't care as much as we think. I think that is my biggest thing that I'll repeat every day to everyone. Like, we are our worst enemy ultimately because other people, like I said, even if they comment something negatively, that's going to generate engagement. If they send it to another person to make fun of you, that's going to generate engagement. So, and if a person has the courage to comment on a post negatively, like, what kind of person are you? Like, rot in hell, you dirty bastard. So you don't even need to worry about those trolls anyways because they are insignificant. Like, a person that would do that isn't someone you want as a student anyway, right? So ultimately, Do it because you deserve it, because you deserve to surpass that. And when I started talking about my shit on Instagram, I started knowing what I did better. I love haters. I had one. Oh my God. Tell us about it, Louisa. What was a hater like?
I don't know, just a weird guy that every post I did and every story of mine he comment like ele me xingava, and I was like, thank you, you're like increasing my numbers, what can I do? He was like engaging my Instagram. And I kind of I told my boyfriend I got kind of sad when he leave me. I mean, he wasn't there anymore, telling me bad words every day,
Oh, you lost
and it
him.
was like how can I say, a fake with a Cebolinha da Turma da Mônica picture, and I was like, I love him.
You see, people, like, that's it. We don't need to give it too much importance, also, right? Because suppose that I do something strange online. Ultimately, if I turn off my phone, that has no power over me. You know, even for example, even if you are a YouTuber or influencer with 1 million followers, you could absolutely come here in my city and go to the supermarket and no one would even recognize you. You can have 2 million followers and maybe like there are some people that sometimes people are talking about that are famous and I have no fucking idea who they are ultimately, you know? So I'm like, that person has 3 million followers on Instagram, 10 million followers, and I have no idea who they are. So imagine, who gives a shit about you with your 1,000 followers, bitch? Who gives a shit about you with your 300 followers? Nobody gives a damn shit. So do your shit. Expose yourself. Put yourself out there because you need that money, honey. You know, it's like we need to stop giving our inner haters that like space, that power, because fuck that shit. I'm broke, bitch. I need to pay them bills. You know, so I love you guys for starting. I love you guys for thinking about this, for reflecting about this. And I think that is like the first step in doing something that you're really proud of. Is like really giving it thought, being mindful about what you're doing and letting it bring you joy and excitement instead of fear. You know, like take that fear out of the equation and let it be like, oh, I want to share this stuff. Because if I don't share it, my heart's going to burst. You know? I won't be able to sleep if I don't share this shit with the world. You know, I'm gonna be up in bed thinking, "Oh my God, the world needs to know this. Why doesn't everyone know this?" These days, my sister told me that she was friends with this guy that had a farm and they sold organic bananas to Pão de Açúcar, and that it was not organic. Like there was a lot of pesticides being used in the bananas and all that. And that is such a random piece of information. But I felt like, oh my God, I need to go on my Instagram now and share that shit with the world because people need to know that sort of thing, you know, like the thing that's like, it doesn't have anything to do with English because not everything about learning English is learning about English. It's about connecting to the world, using English as a tool. So get inspired and start sharing shit, you know, because that's what really reels people in. Fofocar in English is important. Yes, gossiping. Please gossip and tell people news. Talk about your life, you know, or other people's lives. Yes, let's do it.
Do you want to understand my gossip? So let's do class with me.
Yeah. It's that compliment that I got these days. Like, Bea, I love your content on Instagram because it's great for people who don't like English. Realistically, like we want students, we want to attract students that love English. That's what every teacher tells me. But that's not really a thing sometimes because people grew up in an educational system that's fucked up, you know? So you got to attract people through something that's not English sometimes, through Harry Potter if you like it, through, I don't know, Beyonce if you like it, through eating, traveling, whatever you like. Right? So do you. Don't do other people because other people have already been done. So take care of yourselves, my babes, and I will see you next week. Okay? Okie dokie. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.
See you. Bye bye. Bye bye, girls. Hey, the screenshot.
Oh, no.
Oh
No.
Bye bye. See you.